Yo, what's poppin' everybody? This is Saberwolf94, and today we're going to be looking at the best emerging decks from Unified Minds. Remember, these are not going to be the best decks of the entire format, just the best decks coming out from Unified Minds, and many of these you should probably look out for the World Championship. Keep that in mind. So before we get into the decks, I just want to mention, this is more of a joke, but I just thought it'd be funny to mention this. You can use Metachamp and Meditate especially. There's a Meditate in Unified Minds that can do 1 for 40, and with the Uxie trio down, Uxie that makes weakness times 4 if you have Mesprit and a Zelf too, you can actually get a one-hit knockout using this Meditate, just doing like 40. You need Diancie too to make it 60, but you will be able to get like a one-hit knockout. So I just thought it's pretty funny. There's actually a lot of ways you can get a lot of one-hit knockouts on the Tag Team GXs with the Uxie combo. There's a lot of different Pokemon you can use and weaknesses to take advantage of. But anyways, now onto the real decks. We have some really good stuff in here. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the regular Pokemon, and then we're going to move on to the GXs. For regular Pokemon, the biggest one in my opinion, and it might be the most significant one entirely, is this Creogonal here. It only has 90 HP, it's just a regular basic Pokemon, so there's nothing really spectacular about it. But what it can do is do 1 for 10, and it gives you the item lock effect that Seismitoad EX used to do. Now, Seismitoad EX and all the other Pokemon that he was based on, you know, Manectric and Mewtrick back in the day, even, it was incredibly powerful with that item lock, trainer lock. Seismitoad was amazing, and I think this Pokemon is going to be intense too. It's water, you only need 1 water energy, so you don't even require DCE. You know, there's a lot of less risk involved since it's just a basic Pokemon. And its retreat is much better too. It only has a 1 retreat, so you don't have to worry about some of the problems Seismitoad had. 90 HP is kind of low, but I feel like this Pokemon is just begging to be exploited. Item lock is always powerful. So definitely look out for this Pokemon. Maybe some item lock decks will be coming back, and this card will be the heart and soul of that. So for the only other regular Pokemon, in Standard anyway, I'm going to talk about some cards in Expanded. We got this new Garchomp too. So Garchomp, great stats for Stage 2, 150, free retreat, you can't ask for much better than this. It can do 80 for 2, and since it's a fighting Pokemon, you can even boost it with Diancie. But you have the option to discard an energy and do 120 for 2. Now the great thing about this Pokemon is the ability, if you're losing in prizes, if you're behind in prizes, which you probably will be since this Pokemon is a stage 2, then its attacks do 80 more damage. So you can essentially, if you're losing, you can do 160 for 2 and even 200 for 2 if you choose to discard an energy too. That's before Diancie. So it's crazy damage output. This is a Pokemon that can take care of Zekrom GX and Lightning Pokemon easily. Just get a one-hit knockout on them due to weakness. So I feel like it's quite powerful. It's a stage 2 you can't really ignore. You gotta be careful because it might surprise you and kill you, as Garchomp does. So, indeed. Next up, we got another fighting Pokemon. This one, Zygarde, basic Pokemon. Small, 90 HP, 1 retreat. But it can do a lot of very good things. It has a great attack and a great ability too. So this guy, as long as it's on your bench, all of your Zygarde's attacks do 20 more damage. So not only does this stack, it actually works with this guy too. So if you just have multiple of these on the field and then you have 1 active, it's going to boost itself up too. You won't get the effect from the active one, but if you have other ones on the bench, you will still get the plus. And you can do 1 for 20. That's already pretty good, especially when you boost it. It can become 1 for 40, 1 for 60, depending on the other Zygardes and Diancie down. But it also grabs an energy from the discard pile. This sort of attacks where you do cheap damage just for 1 and grab energies are always good. And this guy can do this and boost the damage. And remember, it's not like you have to only use this Zygarde, the 25% dog form or whatever. You can use Zygarde GX, you can use the other Zygardes, any Zygarde that's around. So, a lot of very good things you can do. This deck, I feel like Zygarde is getting a lot of help being able to boost the damage. And if everything else fails, you can still use it as a very good energy acceleration Pokemon. Grab fighting energies from the discard pile, power up some other Pokemon like Machamp and Shadow GX perhaps. Boost the damage. It's just a very good card. And I feel like fighting Pokemon have been really missing this sort of effect. We had Landorus back in the day in Furious Fist that did this sort of thing. So another sort of very good sort of deck you can try and make, just a complete Zygarde deck. Full, pure Zygarde deck. Right. So moving on, I'm going to go into some heavy hitters now, the GXs. We've got quite a few. Many, all of the GXs here can make viable decks, almost. First and foremost, representing grass, it's going to be Rowlet and Exeggutor GX. Now, there's so many different options for tank strategies for grass. They have millions of ways to heal, millions of ways to tank. Just from this set alone, there's a bunch of options, something like this Rowlet Exeggutor can use. You can use Tsareena to get energy acceleration on this Pokemon. You can use the Leavanny and boost your defenses further, blocking 40 damage. This Alolan Exeggutor and Rowlet, it can do 1 for 50 for 3 and heal 30 every turn. So between Shaman healing, between this healing and other cards, man, we even have like a special potion item that just heals 50 as long as you are a GX. No drawbacks. You know, grass tanking is getting realer and realer. It was already kind of a thing in a way when Venusaur and Celebi came out, GX, but I think it's getting realer and realer, more reliable. Fire is always going to be a problem, of course. It's going to destroy your strategy. But, you know, if you can avoid that matchup, you're pretty good. Its GX attack is also kind of something. If you manage by some miracle to put 6 energies on, you can move all of your opponent's energies back in the deck from the field. So that can be very game-changing too. If everything else fails, you do 3 for 200. Still pretty good. Its first attack also helps you out evolve into your Stage 2 Grass Pokemon. So it really just, it screams tanking, you know, do some slow shit with this, but eventually overwhelm your opponent. They won't be able to take you out. Next up, I represented Water. I've got this Keldeo GX here. Keldeo GX decks are going to be real in my opinion if you use them with something like Blastoise. You can do this from the Team Up set, of course, Blastoise Team Up, but even in Expanded, you can use the Blastoises there with Rain Dance. Archie, I think it's just really real. You know, having a Safeguard sort of a Pokemon when it can actually do damage too, and it has a very strong GX attack, I think it's pretty fly. You gotta admit that. Not only that, but his main attack that does 110 for 3 also negates effects, ignores any negative effects, but would still hit for weakness. So incredibly powerful. If you guys don't know, I think I didn't mention this yet, but what really makes this Pokemon great is that it is a GX Pokemon, but it blocks GX damage and EX damage and effects from the other ones. So it's very, very unique. Very strong. A big guy that can do this is pretty handy. So just use this with something like Team Up Blastoise and you got a deck. Could be something really big. Your opponent, you know, won't be able to get around it easily. They're going to have to use other attackers or something. You know, I'm pretty sure Guzma is going to rotate out too. There's no way that is going to be around in the World Championship. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Normally your opponent would have an easy out getting around that with Guzma, but won't be able to do this. So Keldeo, I think you guys need to seriously look at this card. It's really, really good. Next up, speaking of Lightning, Lightning does get another very good option in Raichu. You can essentially just go ahead and just build a completely new Lightning deck based around Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX. It basically does the same thing as Zapdos. The only difference is you use a big Pokemon, you do a lot more damage, and you inflict paralysis. If Raichu and Alolan Raichu move from the bench to the active position, so if you basically do the same switching shit you do with Jirachi and Switch, then this Pokemon will do 160, inflict paralysis. Now, you do need 3 energies to do this, as opposed to just 1 that Zapdos need. But you're going to do a lot more damage, inflict instant paralysis too, so... I mean, the benefits just can't be ignored. You get so many benefits. Tag Team GX Pokemon means it's harder to take down too. Just strong. It's strong. I've already seen this deck being talked about in Poke Beach and seen a little bit of hype, and I think it kind of deserves it. It does have a lot of potential. And it's not like you can still even use Zekrom with it too. So it's the great thing about the Lightning decks is that they just can morph and be so flexible with what you can put and how you can, the numbers that you're running. It's almost like their possibilities are endless. It's like they have no identity, you know. Zapdos decks, a lot of times they run Zekrom. Zekrom decks, they always run Zapdos. It's the same thing. You can make a deck focusing on Raichu, but you can still have Zekrom in as backup, for example. So many different things. His GX attack does 150 for 3, and you switch, so that's a handy thing. Synergizes with what it wants to do. And if you have 2 extra energies on, you can do 250. It won't be very difficult to pull off when you have Thunder Mountain. I mean, if Zekrom can do it, this guy can do it too. So, strong. Strong indeed. Now, we're going to move on to fighting Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl GX is also a Pokemon that has a lot of potential. It's one of these Pokemon that can actually KO the Raichu I was just talking about and all of the Lightning GX Pokemon. It can easily take care of them and counter them very, very efficiently. With this GX attack that just does 50 times the amount of energies your opponent has. If they just have like 2 and you've got Diancie down, you get a one-hit knockout on Tag Team Lightning GX Pokemon easily. You're at basically 120 and then 240 because of weakness. Raichu is going to survive, but if they have 3 energies, you know, to make their attack, that's 300. You take care of them easily. And if everything else fails, you've got your regular attack too. You can always use 120 for 3. Easy to use. You can use the triple acceleration energy. Takes care of them to weakness. Now, of course, that's not the only thing. The main highlight of this Pokemon is the ability. It's not going to stop Zekrom and Lightning Pokemon necessarily, although it does sort of it does counter Raichu because it does need a colorless energy, so it definitely stops that shit. With this Pokemon, if it's active, your opponent's Pokemon need 1 more energy. Basic Pokemon need 1 more energy for colorless. It negates their colorless energy basically. They need 1 more. So, very, very useful. It's a fossil Pokemon, it's got free retreat, HP is pretty solid. Everything about it is nice, except maybe that it's actually indeed a fossil, so it's going to be harder to get at. I mean, not so much because it's one of those stage 1 fossils. Aerodactyl is sort of the exception to the rule. You play down the identified fossil, and then next turn you can evolve into this guy. So, it's not like it's a stage 2. It's like a stage 1 in a way. So, I feel like it has a lot of potential. You know, hitting Lightning for weakness seems great these days, so it's nice when you have that benefit. Ability is great, GX attack is solid. Regular attack could use work, but you always have Diancie to power this guy up. So, very good card in my opinion. You can definitely build a deck around Aerodactyl. Next we got, this guy it's one of the better decks from Unified Minds, but it probably won't be one of the best decks. It's difficult, but I still think it has potential. Dragonite, GX. Maybe it's better in Expanded because you can use DC and Double Dragon Energy, but you can still use Dragonite from the regular Dragonite from this set to put basic energies on it, then put the triple acceleration and do 270. 270 is really, really high. I just can't ignore it. It's enough to get one-hit knockouts on almost all of the relevant Pokemon. Like, everything dies. Everything. Only Pokemon like Wailord survive, which aren't even so popular anyway. So, I feel like it can't be ignored. It's the only really good thing it has. The first attack is kind of trashy. The GX attack just lets you draw cards. You probably don't want to do this when you're stage 2. You finally get this guy out. You want to attack. You don't want to be drawing cards. So that's not going to be very efficient too. You know, stats aren't anything spectacular. Just 250 HP, 2 retreat, weakness to fairy. But just because of that 270 attack, if people make it work, find a consistent list, and just power this guy up, he's going to nuke Pokemon and only give 2 prizes. He's just a stage 2 GX Pokemon, not a tag team. So, something to think about. Alright, now for the biggest guys, these are the top Pokemon for sure in my opinion. I mean, not to take anything from, Keldeo, Raichu, Aerodactyl, and even Rowlet and Exeggutor, but I think these three just take the cake. We first have Mewtwo and Mew. So, this Pokemon is just... It seems more like a tech Pokemon rather than its own deck because of that perfection ability. But you can actually make a deck around this Pokemon. Just use Malamar, find a Pokemon that has a GX that has a fantastic attack, that it's just difficult to power up because it doesn't have energy acceleration for its type. And you can just use Mewtwo to do it. Like, for example, Reshiram and Charizard GX, they can use Welder and do all that shit, but what if you could use Malamar and copy that guy's big attack and use it? Something that Mewtwo can do. It's all about that sort of versatility. Mewtwo and Mew, basically, this is sort of Mew's ability. Always had. Copying attacks from other Pokemon. It works when you have your GX in the discard pile. It works when you have it active. So, just a lot of possibilities. The other great thing about it is that it has one of the most broken-ass GX attacks ever. You do 200, and with just one extra, you heal all damage from Mewtwo and all of your Pokemon. This pretty much makes Spread completely useless against Mewtwo. They're never going to be able to kill it. No matter what they do. You just use this at the right time, either mid-game, or even late game, and just heal everything. They won't be able to come back. They just can't come back. Its stats are fantastic, 270 HP. It's not like it has any drawbacks for all of the good things it offers. Great ability, great GX attack. Stats are great too. You can eliminate your psychic weakness with Jirachi from this set as well. It just seems like it has everything. Thanks to Malamar, Mysterious Treasure, and all the other support, you can definitely build just a wide number of fantastic decks using Mewtwo. The possibilities are endless. Endless, motherfucker. Alright. Now for the two dragon guys. First of all, it's going to be this Naganadel GX. This Pokemon just screams potential because it shares the same ability that's been so dominant throughout the format. Zoroark GX's trait-in, of course, and it's even stronger. You discard an Ultra Beast card. I don't believe it has to be a Pokemon. You can discard any Ultra Beast related card, even a trainer, and draw 3 cards. So it's one more extra card than Zoroark. You do have this specific requirement. You can't just discard anything, but it's still a very good effect. And especially when you have a guaranteed way to get cards every turn, as long as you have the Ultra Beast Stadium around. I forgot its name. I think it's, I don't remember it right now, but you can search out an Ultra Beast every turn, put it into your hand. Aether Paradise, no, it's not Aether Paradise, but something. Ultra Space, whatever the fuck it was. Just grab a filler Pokemon you don't need, draw 3 cards. No problems. The other great thing about it is its attack is just extremely powerful. You just attach a Psychic Energy, a triple acceleration, and this guy can snipe for 170 like it's nobody's business. Mew is gonna, stop it in its tracks. You're only gonna be able to hit the active, but even then, it's just 170 for 2. Extremely, extremely strong. If your opponent doesn't play Mew, though, then you're just gonna be able to do whatever the hell you want to them. Just 170 snipe is crazy, crazy good. If they play Tapu Lele GX, you can instantly snipe that guy down, collect the easy 2 prizes. Crazy, crazy, man. Its GX attack does need a lightning, so it makes it a little bit weird. You probably won't have that option to do this, unless you run maybe some of the unit energies. But it essentially lets you grab an opponent's card from the discard pile and add it to their prizes. Could be handy, but the best thing about this card is the ability and the fact that its attack, it's a crazy strong snipe. Good bottom stats, solid HP. You can't go wrong with this guy. As an Ultra Beast, it gets a lot of support too. Beast Energy, the stadium that I just mentioned, all the rest of the shit Ultra Beast get. Very, very good. Beast String, of course. I mean, you get everything. So it has very, very good potential as the new sort of Zoroark GX guy, I feel like. And then the last major dude, I think this Pokemon is going to be the most dangerous one if people build it right, is Giratina and Garchomp GX. This Pokemon is really nasty, but deservingly so, because dragon Pokemon are usually pretty trashy. They need, two types of energy to work, and they don't bring much to the table. This guy is a dragon Pokemon kind of done right, I feel like. Very high HP. Retreat is kind of big, but what can you do? But it's got very good attacks. You can start doing 40 for 1 immediately. Use any energy, and this is a snipe too, so do 40 on whatever Pokemon you want. And it works perfectly with its second attack. For a Psychic Fighting and Colorless, you do 160. It's already solid. There's no drawbacks for this attack. But if you're hitting a Pokemon with any damage on, you do 240. No questions asked. So, without even any add-ons, you can just use the first attack. Then, once you go with the second, you just do 240. You can 2-hit KO any GX, Tag Team GX Pokemon besides Wailord. And you don't even have to care about add-ons, choice band, whatever. Now, there's so many different options you can use for partners. Altaria from Dragon Majesty to boost the damage. You can use some of the other Dragon options from that set too. But the best Pokemon, it's definitely going to be Malamar. I think without it, this Pokemon won't be very good in Standard. But because of Malamar, it can actually kind of shine. Because you can start using your first attack early while you're building up the Malamars. And then use the big attack easily, power it up, slap a Fighting Energy, slap 2 Psychics from the discard pile. He's ready to go. It's fantastic. It's extremely strong. Its Dragon gives it a little bit of that variety. Fairy isn't too big, so the weakness probably doesn't matter too much. So, it's just very, very strong. Very, very dangerous. Searchable with Mysterious Treasures too. Just all the typical stuff you would expect from a Pokemon like this used in Malamar. Now, its GX attack can be kind of handy. I guess you just discard an opponent's Pokemon and all cards attached to it. Won't get any prize, but I mean, maybe it'll come up. But just overall, this is Giratina decks I think are going to be very good. Giratina, Garchomp, GX decks. Because this guy's so strong. Right to right. So these are the main decks I wanted to mention. We have a few sort of, I guess, bonuses. The first one is this sort of Spore, Breloom, Mungus deck. It's another Pokemon that, because Breloom is fighting, if you do 120, you can take care of Zekrom in one hit easily. And it's just a nice little archetype, I guess, like Lost March. Probably not as strong, and it won't be very effective, but it's something you might want to look into. Might not be too bad if you can keep your stadium around, and they need to flip 2 coins every turn for sleep. You might be good. But that's one thing. I think that this deck might be better in Expanded, where you have the other Among Us that can inflict sleep every turn, or when it evolves. So that's one of the Pokemon. And now I want to mention a few options that I think are significant, but mostly in Expanded. So we've got the Darkrai Umbreon GX. This guy is a pretty strong hitter, to be honest. For 3 Darkness, you do 150 and 60 on a benched GX or EX Pokemon. So if they don't block it with something like Mew or Mr. Mime and Expanded, that's 210 damage total for 3 energies. It's strong. It's strong, and there's nothing to say about that. So with Dark Patches and with all the other support there, I feel like this Pokemon is good. You can try it in Standard using something like Sharpedo, but I mean, I don't know. If Greninja didn't do much, I don't think this guy will be able to do much just yet, at least. Darkness is getting better. Its GX attack is also very good. It's a Trainer Lock, and if you have like 4 more energies, if you got 5 on, it instantly KOs a Pokemon. So always good stuff. So I think it's very good and Expanded because it's easy to accelerate energies and just take full advantage of this Pokemon benefits. Very high HP for a tag team. Typical bottom stats too. I think it will make a good tech in Darkness decks. And then we've got some Psychic dudes. We have first of all, actually, I'm going to talk about Beheeyem. Now this Pokemon, I wasn't really too sure to put it in Standard. It could be a very big deck in Standard too, but I can't figure out the best partners for it. I haven't really researched what the best partners for it are, but it basically has a copy-paste attack of Excelgor in that you do damage, you go back in the deck, and you inflict a strong effect. Excelgor did Paralysis, Behemoth is going to do Item Lock. You do 90, you go back in the deck, and your opponent can't play any items. There's no way to get around this sort of effect easily. So it just screams a good combo, a good lock-in combo. But I don't know what the partners for it in Standard would be. In Expanded, there's probably a lot of good shit you can do with a Pokemon like this. But I can't quite put my finger on it if it's going to do anything in Standard. If people do figure out how to use it though, you know, it could be a big surprise at the World Championship and just do extremely well, if not win, a surprise deck like this. You know, don't take it lightly. You know, try and see if you can find anything about it. Because, you know, going back in the deck, saving the triple acceleration energy and getting the item lock, it's a strong combo. I mean, if Mewtwo was able to copy this attack, then you would already have a deck in Standard. But because it can only copy from GX Pokemon, you can't use that guy. Nevertheless, Behemoth, I just definitely knew I was going to mention it. It has a lot of potential, I feel like. And then the last Pokemon, it is Espeon and Deoxys GX. I really like this Pokemon, but it's probably outclassed by other Psychic Pokemon in Standard. You can still use it in Standard, and you probably will do okay, but in Expanded, this more fits in Expanded, I would say, because you can use Skyfield and boost the damage even further with its attack. You do 30 more damage for each of your Psychic bench Pokemon. So fill your bench with Psychic Pokemon and get those one-hit knockouts. Its GX attack is also fantastic. Just spread 10 damage counters anywhere you like on the field. If you use Malamar and you manage to get 6, you can put 200, so extremely strong. So nothing else to say, it's a pretty simple Pokemon. It could be decent in Standard, but I feel it's more of an Expanded card, to be honest. But that about covers it. These are all the best decks, emerging decks in my opinion, from Unified Minds. I don't think I forgot anything. There's a few other cards that, you know, could be something like maybe that Terrakion that can do over 200 damage if all of your Pokemon on the field are hurt on the bench. But for the most part, I think the biggest Pokemon with the biggest potential are these guys. There's always the Metatide and Medicham, like I mentioned, just for fun. But these are the best decks. You should watch out for them if you're going to go to the World Championship. You never know. If you're going to face Raichu, you never know. Keldeo, you know, Giratina, it's definitely going to be big. Mewtwo, oh, I mean, God, Mewtwo. The possibilities are endless. So, these are the best decks. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this video with your friends. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. SaberWolf94, we'll say.